All right. Hey, everybody. Thanks for joining me tonight. So this is my first town hall, and hope to continue to be able to do more of these. Sort of an informal opportunity for you all to be able to ask questions, and where we're not in a public setting. But just want to remind everybody too that this is being recorded. This is streaming live on Facebook as well. That's just so that later on, down the road here, people can resort back to be able to watch it. Just for some information, I did get a bunch of questions ahead of time, but if you want to use either the Q&A feature, which you should find at the bottom, if you want to use the Q&A feature to type in a question, I'll monitor that. And also at the same time, I'm going to go over some programs I've been doing and give some updates. But if you want to raise your hand and actually ask a question, then that feature should be available for there as well. So here we go. So here's some updates on programs and for my council office. So I'm going to start having some office hours. Basically this will be, right now it's all going to be virtual. In the future, we are council members, mayor, we are allowed to use the city hall offices. There's space down there that we're allowed to use if we need to, but for right now, we're going to meet via Zoom. And I think this platform works a lot better for people that are either traveling or at home cooking for their kids, in our busy lives. So what I'll do is basically send out a message ahead of time, and I'll basically just open up my personal Zoom link, and then people can drop in. Maybe I'll do that like on an hour on an afternoon, try to switch it up a little bit. So I'm looking forward to doing that. That could be some one-on-one stuff that won't be recorded. So the Gilroy Bike Match program, this is something that I started right when the pandemic hit. I got the idea from a transportation company in New York. And so bike match and Gilroy bicycles are essential transportation for many who need to get around during the COVID-19 outbreak. This might include traveling to essential jobs, running crucial errands, or participating in mutual aid for vulnerable people who cannot leave their homes. We are connecting Gilroy residents who have an extra bicycle to Gilroy residents that need one. We're still looking for bicycles to be donated. Please check those side yards and garages for bikes in working condition, and we will get it matched with someone that needs one. Stats to date. So today, as of today, actually, 98 bikes I've brought in, 110 participants, and 98 matches. So you can see that our participants always exceeds what's matches. Big shout out to another Gilroy resident named Eugene Bernowski. He's been a huge help and going out there and getting some of these bikes in to be able to repair them at no charge, and then we're able to match them. So all the details are online. You can search that at Gilroy Bike Match, and also at the same time take the Gilroy Bike Pledge. So if you search those in Google, you should be able to find those. I pretty much have all the stuff that I did with the Gilroy Bike Ped commission and programs. I've tried to transfer all that to the commissioners. There's two things that still really meant a lot to me that I wanted to continue to volunteer with, and that's this program right here. And we're going to continue it as ongoing. We won't stop it when the pandemic lifts. It's something that I can see a big use. And to be able to recycle these bikes and keep them in the community, I think that's really important. Another thing that I'm still doing is those Duro bike stations that you see around town. So I have volunteered to still keep those up. So if you ever see any of those that are a lot of times the pump heads for the air stations break off. If you see those breaking off, just contact me. I'm the one that'll go out there and fix and replace those. So before we get to questions, just remember, if you want to ask a question, just raise your hand. I got one more thing that I want to pass along to everybody, and that's from the Silicon Valley Clean Energy. So I'm sitting on their board. It's a joint powers authority, and starting in June, they're going to be switching out to what's called a time of use. So here's what I have. Time of use billing is what it is. You'll see messages like, I still travel up to Oakland for work, and you'll see messages started saying power down from 4 to 9. So that's to try to get everybody to switch from That's going to be the most expensive time for your utility billing. So they're trying to get people to not use their appliances during that time. So here's a little something that they've put out that I think is important to hear. Power down your electricity usage from 4 to 9 p.m. Historically and currently, a majority of customers are billed for electrical usage on a tiered rate, which prices electricity based on how much is used. In June, Silicon Valley Clean Energy customers will be opted into a time of use billing rate as part of a mandatory statewide transition. This changes electricity pricing from how much is used to when it is used. The higher pricing will be from 4 to 9. The statewide transition is part of an effort to better align electricity usage to when the grid has a higher penetration of renewable energy sources and help reduce the evening peak electricity demand that uses dirty fossil fuel energy. Beginning in March, customers eligible for this transition will receive direct communications from PG&E and Silicon Valley Clean Energy with more information about their rate options and tips on how to save money by shifting electricity usage from major appliances to off-peak hours. All right, so if anybody has any questions, go ahead and feel free to raise your hand now, and I'll bring you in. And what I'll do in the meantime as well is go ahead and sort of read off some questions that I got ahead of time. Some of these are pretty interesting questions. You know, I don't mind answering challenging stuff if there's stuff that I don't know or hasn't already been out there public or a place where I can, you know, kind of show you where it is. I'll get back to you. But here's the first one. I actually got this a lot during the campaign. And the question is, do you get paid for being on the city council? So yes, the answer is yes. Is it a livable wage? No. So in some bigger cities like Oakland, San Jose, San Francisco, it's a full-time job. You have staff that works with you. You have a budget sometimes in your office. And you know, you're sometimes even like the county board of supervisors, they're having meetings during the day. Even San Jose City Council has meetings during the day because they last 6 or 7 hours. Our meetings here in the city council for Gilroy are in the evening times. This position is really meant for not someone who's looking for a full-time job. But I'll go over the benefits in a little bit, so just to let you know, because a lot of times people will say that it's a volunteer position, and that is somewhat true, but it's misleading because it's not really truly a volunteer. So we meet, you know, 2 times a month. They're in the evening time, and that is because majority of us that go for this position or that are on city council actually have daytime jobs. Here's what I prepared, just so you. Let's see here. All council members are eligible to receive a monthly stipend of $900 for their service. So that's the going rate, $900. I believe the mayor is $400 more than that. So it's $900 a month. It's a stipend. We're considered, you know, City of Gilroy full-time employee status. So like I said before, it's not a livable wage, but you are eligible to receive a CalPERS retirement and life insurance, employee assistance programs. You know, I have this in my job as you know, I'm a professional firefighter paramedic, and employee assistance programs are very beneficial to the employee. So I'm very happy to you know, to be able to have that. And then there's a full variety of medical benefits as well. So when you're considered a full-time employee, you get those health benefits, vision, dental. So, you know, one of the really big reasons why I want to let people know about this is that, you know, oftentimes when it comes to those that are still in the workforce, when you think about running for city council, you're kind of, you know, you might say, well, you know, I don't have that much time to volunteer. Maybe I want to be on a commission and committee, or I can't commit to it. But, you know, a lot of times this position, if you find yourself like, you know, like right now, maybe someone, you know, your spouse or someone lost their job, so you don't have health benefits, or maybe you're paying a lot in health benefits. There is a benefit to you to, you know, to run for city council or for the mayor position. So this kind of information is normally not out there. When you do contact the city clerk, when you are looking to get all the information on what it is to become elected, then that's when you can get this packet of information. You can see the benefits and all that. So I actually sat down with HR, became a, you know, full-time City of Gilroy employee, and I'm grateful for that, because it does help offset some of our expenses. I still pay for Zoom, like what I'm doing right now. It helps with, if you have office at home and you want to write off some stuff, you can use that. I've chosen to, every single month when I get paid, I've chosen to do something to give back. And two examples of that that I'll tell you is, one of them is Tristan's Cookies and Cream. I'm a big fan of those cookies on 10th Street. I partnered up with Pit Stop Outreach, and they go out and feed the homeless in various locations in Gilroy. And so one of the months I bought, I think I ended up getting, like, I don't know, 100 cookies or something like that, and to donate to take along. I also have someone who helped me on the campaign that was going through some rough time with his family. He's a student at GECA, and I used those funds to buy him and his family dinner. So those are a couple of things that I'm trying to do with it. So next question up, and feel free, raise your hand if there's anything you want to talk about. Don't feel shy on coming in. If you want to use that Q&A feature, you're totally down to do that. If you can remain anonymous in there too, if you want. But if not, I'm going to keep going through some of these questions because I think you guys will find them interesting too. Do you have staff that work for you? So I kind of previously went over this. No, we don't. The way that it works in Gilroy City Council, that might be different than other places, that we don't have city staff members assigned to us. That's one of the main reasons why I created that student internship program, and why I work so hard to build a relationships with organizations and individuals during my campaign, but my term as a bike ped commissioner too. It takes a team to be effective as a council member. And one of the things when you're trying to introduce legislation or bills, and you're going up against a group that is sort of used to the status quo, and your ideas might be a little bit different than their views, it really helps to feel the love from organizations and individuals out there to know that you're doing the right thing. And that's the biggest thing. But my student internship program, I know Gannon wrote up some stuff in here. One of them was going to try to moderate it tonight, but we couldn't get his internet was a little unstable. But this youth internship program takes high school and college students to teach them the way about local government and how it operates. I do that by allowing them to bring their issues in, and they also create proposals for me that I end up bringing into the council. So I'll always create a memo on items that I'm introducing to the city council, items that I'm trying to get on the council agenda. I will usually assign those to my interns and have them write up 500 words or less on why this legislation should be enacted. That's been huge to me, because a lot of times I don't have time to do that, but at the same time, I'm telling you, like, the next generation that's coming up behind me, their ideas and the way they articulate and the way their thought process it's different than mine, and I appreciate that, and that's why I'm really trying to get that. I'm really trying to get that in those written reports. You won't see those written reports in our agenda packets, but I always have them on my website. And right now, actually, what I'll do is in the chat, I'll drop in my my website address right here so you can see it. I put everything in there under legislation, and that's including those reports. You can certainly chat back if you if you don't want to raise your hand, or if you feel like you want to just use the chat feature. That's totally fine for me too. So let's see here. So I got a question, and let's go for it. So it says, let's see here, answer live. So this person, they work with Carry the Vision, which is a nonprofit based here in Gilroy. We have distributed almost 850,000 of COVID relief here in Gilroy between direct assistance and rent assistance. That's awesome. Rosa, I did not know that. If you want to come in and chat too, that would be awesome. Okay, so the question, we're going into another round of assistance, and that's great, but there are so many families that still need help. and are on the verge of homelessness. I completely agree. The help we are getting is coming from a nonprofit in San Jose, not from Gilroy. We see that you're a council member. My other friend, Rebecca Armendariz, are really being a voice for the community. We want to know what we can do, want to know what we can. So, um, so Rosa, are you trying to, do you want to come in here and talk for a second? I'm not really sure about your question. Yeah, you do. Okay, hold on a second. I'm going to allow you to talk. You should be able to unmute yourself.
Okay, I'm in.
Hey.
Hi,
Hi, how are you?
I am good. How about yourself?
I'm doing good.
Good. Well, that was my question about we are working well, I work with Carry the Vision, and it's a nonprofit here in Gilroy.
Hmm.
I've been with them for about a year, and since we started with a little bit, but now it's being known, and we have helped like 150 families
Nice.
with this rent assistance, but
Hmm.
all this money is coming from San Jose.
Yeah.
And we're trying to I don't know if Garo has any money or not, but we're trying to help our community, our here in the our Gilroy.
Yeah.
There's a lot of family that needs the assistance because they're losing their homes.
Yeah.
People are losing their homes. I know a lot of families that live like in a house with they're renting either the living room or a room with four people in there because they can't afford it.
Hmm.
Rents are very expensive,
Yeah, so
and
they're crowded. Yeah.
we are trying to figure it out with my boss to see if we can. I know the city is not. I guess the last meeting they didn't approve something with the homeless. I wasn't in the meeting. I don't know what they were talking about, but she said something about um that only you and Rebecca are like
Hmm.
with us, but we do really need our support. We need to get with somebody to help us out, to help
So
our community.
I totally understand. So one of the things that the council did previously when they first got that CARES Act funding is they allocated, I want to say it's 150, Rebecca can correct me if I'm wrong in the chat, but I believe it was $150,000 that we took from that CARES funding and gave it to St. Joseph's Family Center,
Uh-huh.
right? So that's where money came through. But as far as I can remember, there's no funding source that's allocated through the city of Gilroy like our general funds that goes directly to rent assistance. Um,
Okay.
I think what you're referring to is on Monday night.
Yes, yes, yes.
I had made it, I put it out there because we're doing the budget right now. It had to do with the eviction moratorium that the state is still holding on to, or the state is still doing it until June. And I had mentioned that that I would be willing to look through the budget to be able to find a place where we can offer rent assistance, whether that's through CARES funding or general fund money.
Okay.
Thank you, Rebecca. She said, yeah, it was 150K. Um, but right now during our budget cycle, I mean, I threw that out there. It doesn't mean it's going to happen. And I don't know if there's any other federal money coming through that we would be able to, use towards rent assistance. But we did just get $11 million from the American Recovery Act, and we are allowed to use that for lost revenue. So, um, and I don't know, Rebecca, you might know, is there still funding? Is there still more CARES funding, coming out that we can use towards rental assistance? I'm not 100% sure. But I hear you, Rosa, and many people hear you. And when I heard the stat too from Destination Home, how they've done like almost $1.4 million for rent relief. Uh, you
Yes.
know, thank you, and thank you to your organization for doing that as well. Um,
Okay.
yeah, and yeah, I just heard it. We can pretty much use it for anything we want. The money that's coming through. So it's something that I'm pushing for, and I'm willing to be more vocal. I would highly suggest that you come back during our May city council meetings, and be an advocate for that. That's when
Okay.
the budget will first be presented to us, and then the budget gets finalized in June.
All right. I will do that.
Thank you, Rosa.
Thank you, Zach.
All right. All right, Jan, I'm going to bring you in. You should be able to, hold on a second. Jan, I'm going to promote you to a panelist. It says you're on an older version. So in a second here, you should be able to actually join me on here. And I'll switch this to gallery view.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you for having this town hall meeting. I did not remember last year any other city council person having this. So, and I so appreciate your outreach to me as a voter, informing me of what's going on. I have just on that last topic that was happening, I am very fortunate to be in a house and I'm financially secure, but just breaks my heart to see people out in the street, in tents around here. And I know that one of the solutions to homelessness is rent assistance to prevent, people from getting out there. And we know with this COVID, impact that's hit people of color especially hard, that the waves of homelessness may increase. So anything that you can do to prevent homelessness, to help the people that are out there, because from what I understand, they are mostly Gilroyans that are out on the street. So thank you for whatever efforts you can do in that realm, and I plan to attend more city council meetings so I can voice that concern. I also wanted to ask you about Destination Home. They were asking for the city council to approve their plan. Did the city council do that?
No, they didn't. So I brought that forward on our January 25th meeting. It's called the Community Plan to End Homelessness. And it was going off of a plan that was from previously that had success. I tried to get that on our future agenda to endorse it. That's all it was, is endorsed by a resolution.
Right.
And that failed 5-2.
Wow.
Yeah, to not get that on there. What's going on right now is there's a city council last year had approved an ad hoc homeless committee, and so they're meeting right now. They've been meeting since September, and so we're waiting for their recommendations. That's what we're waiting for right now. And probably within the next month, I'm going to have Destination Home and some of their folks on here and do a town hall just dedicated to them, just so people can ask them questions. Just even the word affordable housing is confusing to people. And then, and I'm not sure if you saw it, but there's a couple of homelessness and homelessness prevention items that I actually put in a budget memo request early, because I don't know when they're going to come back with their recommendations. And there's currently right now, we don't spend any money at all from our general fund balances towards homelessness or homeless prevention.
Wow.
We use it's called CDBG money, which comes from HUD, a Community Development Block Grant. We use those fundings. We're going through it right now. We're a pass-through entity, and we actually have a housing and neighborhood revitalization committee. They review the funding and everybody that's trying to get the funding. That's including like Compassion Center, St. Joseph's, amongst other nonprofits. So we do pass through stuff that goes towards homelessness and homeless prevention, but we don't put anything from our general fund in there. So one of the things that I suggested is that we partner right around $35,000 a year is what I'm guessing the share is, but we'd partner and share for a county homeless outreach worker. They would conduct interview and assessments of medical and social risk factors of the homeless that living here in the streets of Gilroy. Another one is they have an ongoing county rapid rehousing program, which speaks to what you said. sometimes, depending on the individual, maybe they just need first and 2 months rent.
Right.
And that's going to prevent them from being chronically homeless. They might just be temporarily homeless. So, we could pay $35,000 as our share for ongoing county rapid rehousing program, a homeless prevention, financial rental assistance, right? Programs for families, targeting families with children in the school district that are at risk for homelessness. The other thing that I've suggested is we do a safe park program. And this was working with faith-based community volunteers offering this in Morgan Hill. They do this. They do an 8-space pet-friendly overnight at a local church for 8 homeless families, 30 people max. They live in they're currently living in their cars, right? So these are same thing, folks we can get right back into housing. They're not in tents yet. They're not chronically homeless yet.
Yeah.
So there at those places, they receive coordinated assessment services, meals, support, with the goal of providing some stability while they wait for permanent housing. And then the city, like in Morgan Hill, they contribute to case management. So the city, I just wrote in, the city contributes $40,000 to case management. And even in Morgan Hill, they don't let them sleep in their cars. The faith-based community has, put trailers in there that they've gotten donated. So it's a little bit more comfortable for them.
Yeah.
But it does, just because the city council didn't get this on the agenda does not restrain us from asking for it again. There is still a lot of work going on behind the scene, because those ad hoc committee meetings are not open to the public. I have to sit back and wait, just like you have to sit back and wait for their recommendations.
And when are they supposed to recommend whatever?
In our February strategic planning session, they said next month, and that was in March, and March is passed, and we already had our meeting in April. So I don't know.
Wow.
I wish I did.
Yeah.
But I don't know. But that's why I put this out there. I'm hoping that they bring back their recommendations before May, because right now this is when the city staff is crafting their budgets to present a rough draft to us in May.
Right. So it seems like some organizing, some publicity would help in that whole effort. I had another question for you. We don't have district elections in Gilroy, right?
No, we don't. We're still at large. And the only, the Gilroy Unified School District has switched over to districts, but we're currently still at large.
Don't we have to by law?
You have to. And if someone were to, I heard this in a planning commission meeting about 1.5 years ago, is that so far the reason why we haven't switched is because nobody's sued us. As far as I know, it's something that if someone were to file a lawsuit against us, we couldn't fight it, because you are correct. It's state law. It's the direction that everybody needs to go to. But it is the will of the council right now to either choose to do it on their own or to be forced to do it.
Wow.
Yeah. And I know that last year all of them got sent emails to try to put it on their agenda, and nobody brought it up.
Okay. Well, now I know where the lay of the land is. Thank you very much.
You're welcome, Jan. All right. So if anybody else wants to put their hand up, feel free. I got some more Q&As here, so I'm gonna catch up for a second. Oh, actually, you know what? It had to do with what can we do so Gilroy can pass a moratorium law to protect people from being evicted. Lilia, great question. So what we tried to do this on Monday, and unfortunately it failed 5-2. If we were to bring it, let's say myself and Rebecca were to try to get this back on a future agenda, I'm sure it would still be turned down 5-2. You are currently protected right now through the state and the county. I can tell you that I hope that the state would make it even longer. But there was a little bit of a will of the council to come back and address it for some reason if if the state decided not to extend it, or if the county decided not to extend it, that that we would look at it and see. So that's all I can really say for about that. Hopefully I answered your question. I'm sure Rebecca, she's still in the chat here. I'm sure she can talk with you more about that, or if you want to talk more about that offline, I'd be happy to. Is there an easy way to sign up for this, for rental assistance? I would say for the city of Gilroy right now, contact St. Joseph's Family Center. Maybe Rebecca or Vanessa, you can help me out and put that in the chat, their website. But St. Joseph's Family Center, I know that they might still be doing it here. I don't personally know how to get in touch with Destination Home or Carry the Vision. But if someone on here could start, or could drop that in the chat, that would help me out. All right. Okay, so I got a couple of screens going on. Okay, so if anybody else wants to ask a question, it looks like I'm all caught up on the Q&A part. Go ahead and raise your hand, and I'll be more than happy to bring you in. Thank you, Rebecca, for putting that in there. Okay, so I'm going to go back to some of the questions that I got ahead of time. We'll see if this spurs any discussion. So the next question was, how many seats are open for election in 2022? This is going to come around fast. People are already declaring the county supervisor for District 1 is up for re-election, and people are already dropping their names in for that. So there's 3 seats that are open coming up November 2022. You are more than likely start seeing people trickle their name out in the next, by this summertime, but definitely by next springtime, you will see who is coming out that wants to run for election. Many of the organizations that do endorsements and stuff like that start doing their interviews in like May or June. But the filing period, that's the biggest part that you need to worry about. The filing period comes from Santa Clara County Register of Voters. And normally it's like a 21 to 28 day window that you have to you pick up your forms, and then you have to you come back, you get 30 signatures, and then you go back and take it there. That's the most important thing to watch out for. And I'll be doing outreach. I really found it beneficial when people were there helping me and reminding me of the dates. Same thing for the Gilroy School Board. School Board, you have 4 members that are up, 4 seats that are up for election next year as well. Thank you, Connie. Filing period is mid-July for about 3 weeks. Perfect. Thank you. So a couple of notes I wrote down about that is, and someone mentioned before, so we each represent the at-large community during elections. So there'll be 3 seats open for city council election November 2022. Those are just for the council members. The mayor's seat is not open until November 2024. That's the position. That was the election that I came in on as well. If you're considering to run, please contact my office. I'd be more than happy to talk about the position. All right, so let's see here. I got a Q&A. Oh, okay. Thank you, Rosa. So next one, why, and this makes me laugh because it's what I'm doing right now. Why are you looking down at when you are speaking during council meetings sometimes? So I still get nervous speaking in public comment. If you riff, which sometimes I will try to do, I do a lot of huhs. I do looking up. I'm not very good at it, but I have really detailed speaking notes that I prepare before each meeting. I mean, here's an example. This is everything that I had right now. The council packets are deep. There's 130, sometimes more pages in there. Certain items I'm more passionate about, or I can speak to. So I usually prepare my notes ahead of time. So if you see me trying to read off something, it literally is because I am reading. And I did this when I was on the bike ped as a commissioner, and I first started speaking in public comment. You know, your heart's beating crazy. There, it was in person. You're standing right in front of the council. You know, you got people on your left and they're on your right, and you got a 3-minute timer. You got to finish your stuff in. And one of our council norms is that whenever we're giving presentations or reports, that we remain, you know, concise and try not to go over 3 minutes. So sometimes you'll see me looking down, and those are the reasons why I wrote on here. Just like now with these questions ahead of time, I took time to write them out. What committee assignments are you assigned to? So this is the mayor's position to assign committees to us. You can find what every committee that we're all assigned to. You can find that in our agenda packets. For myself, I got assigned to the South County United for Health. This is an organization that that is mainly directed from public health, Santa Clara County Public Health, and Supervisor Wasserman's office. It's usually held in Morgan Hill. When it was in person, right now it's on Zoom. Each year they focus on something different. It meets quarterly. Sometimes it has to do with tobacco prevention. Sometimes it's active transportation. So I'm assigned there. The Visit Gilroy, California Welcome Center. So I'm on their board as well. And those meetings are not open to the public, and neither are the South County United for Health. But I always try to, those organizations, their executive directors are great at giving me talking points, and I can bring those back. And I usually will always report those out in the beginning of every meeting when we have a council member reports. I'll do my best to do that. But you know, if you ever have any questions specifically about these organizations, that's a chance for you to be able to ask questions as well, and I can get those answers for you. Silicon Valley Clean Energy Authority JPA board, so where I'm on there as well. That's actually a really fun one. Those are public meetings. They're held on second Wednesdays at 7 p.m. You can find them live on YouTube, or if you go to Silicon Valley Clean Energy, you can find out all information about the board and who's on there. And then you'll be able to get the agenda links. Right now we meet by Zoom. And so you can actually get the Zoom link and come inside the meeting to be able to view and provide public comment. That one I'm having a lot of fun with. It does a lot with clean energy. It has already brought a project down here to Gilroy. It's an electric bike pilot program, and the Bike Ped Commission talked about it last month. If you want to go back and look at their presentation, that actually might be a group that would be really fun to have on town hall here to come have me join in, because what they're trying to do is pretty cool. They're giving e-bikes to residents that live in affordable housing community. This is why I don't want to riff on it. And what they're doing is they're tracking their routes, and they're giving them a Fitbit, and they're tracking their sleep. And not only are they looking at the health aspects of e-bikes, but they're looking to see how far they can go, and certain infrastructure around town that maybe we can do like little quick fixes or pop-ups to try to look at changes we can make within our transportation system, active transportation system. So that's how I'm going to talk about that. The Gilroy Economic Development Partnership. This is a really fun one to be on. This is the last one that I got assigned to. So there's 3 initiatives happening right now in the city of Gilroy that we're focusing on, and they're all a recreation destination-based theme. And so this partnership deals with the sports park right now. We're focused on the sports park, expanding that. We're focused on Gilroy Downtown's Gourmet Alley, and we're focused on the 536 acres that are out at Hecker Pass. So this stakeholder group, and if you go to my website, you can see who's in there, but it really represents all the stakeholders from businesses to others in the city of Gilroy. And we're meeting monthly right now, getting updates on the projects. You might have seen earlier this month the 536 acre Hecker Pass project. Those requests for proposals were made public. They came in, they gave presentations, and now you won't see them again because they're going through different executive boards. They will be going to that partnership as well, and then a formal recommendation will come back to the city council. And let's see, do I have anything else? That's all I had to say for that. So now I'm going to, there's a Q&A that came up. So let's stop here for a second. Do people from out of town have the right to speak during public comment in the council meetings? Yes, they do. Thank you for asking that. This has actually been um, somewhat of an education for our council, and Zoom really is what did it. The pandemic has opened up transparency in all of government. As a resident in California, you have the right to speak in public comment on any item in any jurisdiction. Okay. There's Brown Acts, rules that govern that. Back in the day, you might have seen like if I wanted to come up and speak at a council meeting, I'd have to say, I am Zach Hilton. I live at 545 5th Street. Like there's all this verification. There's no roadblocks like that anymore. If you wanted to come to a city council meeting and we're meeting in person, there's yellow cards that you'll see on the edges. That's just a request. It's so that if you say something and you want us to contact you after, the city clerk will capture your information. If you want to come up and say something, you can be completely anonymous. So the same thing for our council meetings. There's no restriction. It's an open space. It's an open forum. It's open for the public. And there's some state bills actually going through right now that will that are working towards keeping this transparency high and getting input from members of the public in spaces when they normally wouldn't do it before. I've done some testifying this year and last year at the state capitol, not in person. I testified in person a few years ago up there, but I've been able to do that through Zoom. They've also been able to take public comment, and one specific one that really started some of these bills to create. So when we go back into person, there's either a live call-in line, some sort of hybrid model, something for the public to be able to comment. And the reason why is because it is extremely, I can't even think of the right word, but imagine if you're commuting home and it's 6 o'clock already. You don't want to go to the council meeting and sit around for 4 hours and wait for your moment. If you could listen into the council meeting, drive home, cook your dinner, say hello to the family, and be able to do that, it increases participation. So thank you very much for that question. If anybody wants to put their hand up, feel free, and I'll bring you in here. If not, I still have a bunch of other questions. I still have like 4 or 5 more questions, and we're about 45 minutes in here, so we're gonna wrap it up here. So what legislation have you introduced, and where can we find it? All the current legislation that I've introduced is on my website, and I put that in the chat. And if you just go under the legislation tab, you can find it there. And like I said before, that's where you can read all my submitted memos. I've introduced items on active transportation, gun control, homelessness, bike parking standards. And then also on there too is I recently shared a budget memo for fiscal year 22 and 23. You can see that on there. Each year I'm hosting There Ought to Be a Law program. I'll do that every January. It's a chance for any member of the public to submit legislation to my office, and you kind of compete. That's always fun. I did that for Assemblymember Robert Rebus's office, and I found it just fascinating to watch the process go through. You can also find on my website too, you can also find a city council voting record spreadsheet that's on that section of the website. And that's actually a question coming up here too. People are really curious about that. All right, so this question comes from, it says, I'm a supporter of metered parking in downtown Gilroy. With the limited amount of parking spaces on Monterey Road along downtown storefronts, having parking spots without time limits or meters allows some to occupy the spaces all business day without care, and this can be frustrating for both customers and business owners. Do you support a policy that would bring timed meter parking in downtown? If so, what do you see as the benefits of enacting this policy? So I brought this up during our strategic planning session, and when staff presented back the work plan, it was still on there. So I'm glad to see it on there. And so I do support it. And I'll tell you one of the reasons why is that the restaurants and maybe not so much retail, because usually you're in and out or you're bouncing around, but the restaurants rely on getting those tables turned, right? Um, and so if someone from a resident or business owner parks right in front, that takes prime spot for somebody. If we go around and let's say, because right now we still have signs on there that says 2-hour parking. If we were to enforce that, it would keep the turnaround going. Now, some people will talk about, like, oh, you might drive away business by charging, and I don't believe that. We travel all over the Bay Area, and one of our favorite places to go is even up in Truckee, and that's a small, quaint downtown, even smaller than ours. And they have this variable rate parking system. So they have these kiosks, and depending on the time of day, maybe you can choose to have every Saturday and Sunday for free parking. Maybe you choose to have free parking after 6. That's what it is in Truckee, but it's a variable rate. So you basically you pay based on that. The computer system figures it out. Another thing is that there's a new parking lot that's coming down into downtown behind the Art Center, and we're more than likely going to have to keep funding a steady stream of funding going into these parking lots, whether it's for restriping, repaving, maintenance, lighting, all that kind of stuff. And if we want to start generating that, we need to find a source besides using the general fund. So I am in favor of this. I do want to expand, not only have a parking management program for our downtown, I want to expand parking enforcement to our major corridors. So I'm talking like on 10th Street, Monterey Road from 10th all the way to 1st, and then from Monterey and 1st all the way up to Santa Teresa. We're starting to see infill development come in. There is currently no parking allowed along various stretches of Monterey Road outside of downtown, but going up to 1st Street, and there's people that parking in the bike lanes sometimes. So those are the parking enforcement to clear people out of the bike lanes, take care of those 2-hour parking. I support it, and I'm very interested to see what the policy or the plan would look like. Another thing that not only can you probably fund enforcement officers through there, but you can also beautify the town. You can do sidewalk cleaning. I've seen bike racks in Pismo Beach be purchased based off of parking. And in my mind, the tourist, if they want front row parking, they're going to pay for it, right? Locals like us, we're going to know where to go to park for free. Or we're going to start, what this will do too is this will make you think twice about, do I want to pay $10 to go in for my, my dinner and drinks in downtown? Or will I choose to ride my bike to downtown? There's plenty of bicycle parking in downtown now. And so what this will do is the limited amount of parking, it'll slowly get you to change the way that you go out there. All right. So thank you for that question. One of the best ways, this is the next question. One of the best ways I believe to know a politician is to see how they vote on issues brought before them. This person has spent some time looking through the City of Gilroy's website under the council meeting tab and cannot locate a central area that is easy to access that contains this information. 100% true. And it's because some politicians don't want you to know how they vote. They want you to have a short-term memory. Oftentimes, this came up during the campaign, and some other people would say, well, it is that our votes are there. They're in the record, they're in the minutes. And just like this person said, that takes a lot of searching. Organizations out there that do endorsements, they're not going to go through minutes and look for it. Residents, if they want a quick snapshot of how the voting went on Monday, the minutes don't show up for, I think it's 10 days until the city by law has to update the minutes. So I created this on my website. If you go to legislation, scroll all the way down, www.zachhilton.com, Z-A-C-H, Hilton.com. You can look down at the bottom and there's a spreadsheet down there. So, this is from my office. Obviously, this is not like an official City of Gilroy endorsed program. I would support it, but I'm not going to bring it up because I know it's going to get turned down if we try to get this on the website. But I would encourage you to bring it up during public comment, open public comment, and see if we can get it on the agenda. But if you scroll down, it's on there. It's a spreadsheet. It's got every agenda item. I pull it off the official minutes. I also have a video link there where you can click on the agenda packets. You can actually read it. I'm a big believer in, I don't want to just tell you what happened at the meeting. I want you to read it, and I want you to watch it. Most of the stuff that I always talk about, people always wonder, how did you know that? Well, I'm still a nerd. I still watch all the commission and committee meetings. That's how I grew up in getting government right here. So someone just asked if other cities do it. There are some other cities that do it, but it's not very widely done. I mean, the state of California, state assembly and senators, they don't do it. Even members of our Congress and stuff, right? It's not something that's really readily available. And maybe it's just my generation and the person that wrote this that really wants that information. I've heard a lot of private citizens that want it. It's just an easier way for them to digest what happened. So I'll support it, but it's up to you who wrote this question to bring it up. And this will be a good question. And unless there's any other questions, there we go. League of Conservation Voters does it annually for state legislators. See, so that's another organization that does endorsements. And so that's really good to know that they do that, because people will ask for your voting record, especially if you've been endorsed by different organizations. You get endorsed by them because of the values. The endorsement process was hard. It was not easy. The first one I did was with the South Bay Labor Council, and it was in May, and it was 52 questions. I think Rebecca's still on here. It was 52 questions. And when I was doing it, I found out a lot about myself. These organizations hold on to those records. They had no voting record to look for me, because I was a first time elected politician. But it is important. These organizations and our residents, if you say, not that you have to be from a certain party, but if your values need to represent your votes, that's the biggest thing I can say. And that's what these organizations are looking for. And quite frankly, I think that's what you should be looking for in me and in your politicians. So with normally good weather here in December, you guys are gonna like this. We see the pop-up of ever popular drive or walk through Christmas nighttime displays such as Vasona. That's the one in Los Gatos. That one's beautiful on the lake. And the Santa Cruz Fairgrounds. And even this year they did the drive-through for San Jose too, right? The Christmas lights. So would you support turning the ranch site, which is where the Miller Red Barn is, the ranch site of Christmas Hill Park, into such an attraction? After all, the park is called Christmas Hill. Connie, I think you're still on here. Would that be allowed over there by the Miller Red Barn? I think they would get a kick out of it. That's already a little drive-through that you could do there. Why not? Jorge Mendoza, I believe, did something, and one of the, I think it was at the what's the charter? There's a charter school that's down by South Valley, and I think they actually had a drive-through lights for the kids. So of course I would support it, but you won't hear it from me all the time. You hear it from somebody else. Okay, but who's going to pay for it? And that's a very valid question. But just like Connie said, you can get organizations, and there's the Miller Red Barn is an organization that's right there. Garlic City BMX. You're going to be hearing their proposal coming up for a BMX pump track. They want to be in that synergy with Miller Red Barn right there. So I'm sure we can all come together as a community to do that, to attract it. I mean, why not? And it is off the levee trail too, so perfect for people to be able to ride their bikes over there. So that's all I have. I want to thank everyone for coming out tonight. I hope that you found something valuable out of this event. This will not be the only town hall. I'm not going to keep them consistently. It's not like it'll be every Thursday, but, I'll certainly let people know on my Facebook page, through my website and social media and email. If you want to sign up for my newsletters, I've kept these newsletters going since I was campaigning. If you want to, thank you. If you want to sign up for those newsletters, just go to my website. There's a section right there, and really all I'm doing in these newsletters, it's way different than trying to get your vote. Basically, what I'm trying to do is steer you in the right direction to know what's coming up. Know that there's a council meeting on Monday. I really don't try to highlight too much is on there unless it's personal legislation or something that I'm passionate about. Of course, I'll put that in there because it's coming from my office. But I'm really just trying to be transparent and let you know how you can engage with us. And so I look forward to more events like this. In the future, we can do something like this in person, hopefully. But if not, I know that there's going to be a demand for a hybrid model. Not everybody can show up. So sometimes it's easier just to tune in like this. And I certainly don't mind doing that at all. And let's see. Yeah. So visit my website. I really appreciate everybody that came out tonight. I haven't been looking at the Facebook live feed. So if there's questions on there, I promise I'll answer them offline. Other than that, if there's any other questions, raise your hand. But thank you all for sticking with me for almost an hour. I appreciate it. If there's you'll get an email after, for those that were attendees in the Zoom, you get an email after. If you feel like you want to drop in a comment about future items, please do that. The next town hall, I don't have a date yet, but more than likely it's going to be in conjunction with Destination Home, and really bringing them back. And so we can do not too much of a deep dive on affordable housing, but I really want people to understand what affordable housing is, the work they've done on preventing homelessness and homelessness as well. And then, we'll have businesses come back in, drop in. If any commission or committee member in the city, wants to join me and talk about their commission, let's do that. And maybe I'll have some other electeds on here. But I really, any ideas you have, just send me a line. All right. Okay. Bye, you guys. Thank you.